coffee that I'm about to drink. My husband brought it to me, and I'll tell you one thing, I'm suspicious about it. The way my mother-in-law's looking at me, the way he's looking at me, telling me to drink up, I think that they poisoned it. When my husband Callum offered me a steaming hot mug of coffee, I got awfully suspicious that something was up. So I replaced my cup with my mother-in-law, Liliana's. She was very ill, and months later she's still sick. I got her tested and found out she had trace amounts of poison in her bloodstream. Now, I feel betrayed and conflicted about what to do next. I married Callum 3 years ago because our families had a good relationship, and we've been friends since we were kids. Now, I knew Callum had issues with insecurities and had an inferior complex. In the first few months of marriage, we got along well. Acting mostly like old buddies, we'd agreed to keep our finances separate because Callum had some doubts about my intentions surrounding his wealth. He called me a gold digger and claimed it was better to be safe than sorry. Well, I used to earn a little more than average because I was a reputed corporate firm. I'd been there since my college interning days, and I got most of my training there, and I was highly valued for my talent and loyalty. Now, Callum thought that we were holding me back because I had not changed jobs since college, and he found that strange. But when I showed him my bank account and my financials, he retracted his statement. Ever since then, he's had a what is yours is mine type of attitude. That's mostly how it's supposed to be in a marriage. So I don't mind, but I did find it a little strange that he never revealed how much he earned. And it took him showing my accounts to get him to trust me. Anyways, after that day, he started acting strange. Like he would project his insecurities on me through aggression and arguing. At first I was genuinely confused, but I found the root cause of the agitation when I went ahead and just offered to do his taxes for him. I'm great with them, to be honest. I'm good with math. Well, he's not, so I thought it would be a nice gesture to do this one thing together. He agreed, but when I asked him for his salary slips, he starts backing up and hesitating. I would not relent though, because I found it unfair that I wasn't allowed to hide my monetary condition, but he was. Well, he gave in and showed me everything, and there was nothing really bad at all. So I did ask him though, why? Why was he so hesitant and secret about it? After which he said it was emasculating to have his wife earn more than he does. He was insecure that I had more success than he did. Well, I had just a better paying field of job than he did, so this wasn't really about success. It was just him being butthurt that his wife made more than he did, and I told him it's alright and that it simply did not matter. I thought I'd effectively convince him, but he was still extremely touchy about the entire topic. Things boiled over a year ago, and I was making even more money than back then, though not by much, but he was stuck at the same level job. Hey, no shame to him, genuinely, but I knew it pained him to see me moving forward when he was stuck at the same place. He insisted that I leave my job and that I take care of the house instead of exposing myself to the harsh world. I did not budge. What was this, the 90s? Anyways, our families had gone out on my birthday for dinner at a classy restaurant. We all had a lot of food and even more to drink, and when the time came to pay, I reached for my card for the meal, and when I did so, Callum yanked my hand out of my purse and told me to stop acting like I was better than him all the time. Okay, dude, I was confused, so I told him I was just paying for the dinner hosted by me on my birthday with my money. He told me I was making him feel like he wasn't enough, and that I was only paying because I wanted to show him his place and tell our family that I had a better career. He did not consider the fact that our entire family was seated right there listening to his crap, owning to the fact that he was intoxicated. We went back and forth and argued in hushed tones that were only loud enough for the rest of the family to hear. Then he raised his voice and told me to hand him the bill. Now, I knew for a fact that he just bought a car, so he has a little low funds, so I simply smirked, handed him the bill, and stormed out knowing he did not have enough money to cover that very, very expensive dinner. Later at home, Liliana stormed into our room and dragged me downstairs to argue. She claimed I humiliated Callum by putting him on the spot and not paying for the bill anyways. She said my father and Callum's sister ended up splitting the bill, which was extremely embarrassing for Callum, apparently. So I just shrugged and told them I hoped he learned his lesson and would just accept that I earned more money than he did without making a huge deal of it. It's not like I'm insanely rich or something. I worked for everything I had, and I worked almost twice as hard for him than he did. He had generational wealth, which was his father owning a successful business. I did not. My father is a doctor, so I wasn't at all poor, but I never took anything for granted because of how hard my father worked for his wealth. Running a house of 5 all on his own. Liliana completely flipped though. She said I had no right to overshadow my husband's success, and that if I were sitting at home and taking care of him and his house better, I would not have to ever work because my husband would go so much further than I ever could, just by supporting him full-time. My father-in-law, Marcel, backed me up at least, telling his wife on siding with me, and he said that I had the right to pursue my career and aim for the stars if that's what I want to do in this lifetime. He said that he had my back and that he would not stand his wife and son harassing me and forcing me to quit my own job. Since that night, I've had a certain disconnect with Callum. We rarely spend any intimate time together, argue over petty things, and God forbid he lifts a single finger around our home. I have to do literally everything because he keeps firing any housekeeper or maid that I hire to help. He occasionally even sabotages my work. By misplacing work files, I've stopped bringing any home, and I keep my briefcases locked up now. Breaking my laptop, I keep backups as well, or making sure that I have to stay home by creating situations. Now, we'll come to why I wanted to post this situation for you guys. I recently had a major business trip to another country to attend. The meetings that were to be held on this trip would have gotten me assured promotion if I were to attend them. I was going to get a slight raise anyways, but getting on that flight and attending those few meetings would have me put directly at a post that I wanted, so, well, I talked to my boss and she was willing to give me that position if I managed to complete that one little task, so it was not cancelable. Even if not for the chance of promotion, I've been taking too many leaves because of Callum's childish behavior. I wasn't worried about getting fired, but I was worried I would lose the trust of my employer. I told Marcel about my situation, which, Callum, and he suggested we move to their house for a month so that he could look over Callum's shenanigans and make sure that there were other people in the house in case he decides to create an emergency for me to stay. When we moved there, he made sure I got my own separate room, and that Liliana and Callum would stay the hell away from me. Of course, he could not protect me from the taunting, venomous words of the snake that is my mother-in-law. She would tell me to act my age and settle as a housewife, perhaps pop a bun or two in the oven before it's too late. Like, ma'am, I'm 24. Too late's like 15 years away. I think I got married too damn early sometimes. Anyways, I don't mind because any words that shot out of that woman's mouth would just sound cuckoo. I think the absolute limit was crossed for me just a couple of days before the incident. I have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, so I was on birth control for a few months just to regulate my menstrual cycles, and I've taken a half day at work that day because there was a gala event in the evening that I had to get ready for. But when I was walking into my room, I had the absolute shock of my life. Callum was in my room sitting on my bed and poking holes into a condom. My birth control was out too, so I assume he tampered with it. He wanted to baby trap me. How dare he? Also, who's going to tell that idiot that tampering with contraception is a felony and very, very illegal? I just screamed at him to leave and not come in my line of sight for the next few days if he did not want to get obliterated. Before he scurried out of my room, I told him that this was grounds for divorce and that I was not going to hold back, and he frowned at me and left. So coming to the actual incident now. I was sitting in the living room watching Doctor Who reruns on the telly, and Liliana was sitting next to me reading a book. Callum came up to me asking for a truce with 3 steaming hot mugs of coffee. He apologized to me and explained that he did not want to lose me. So he did everything out of love and fear, and I was extremely skeptical of his motives. He picked out a mug for himself, and Liliana picked out a mug for herself extremely carefully, and I was left with the last mug. Callum went to the kitchen to bake some cookies while I sat with Liliana. Well, I was watching TV. I noticed Liliana sneaking glances at me. I had yet to take a sip of my coffee, and I was extremely dubious about the coffee at that point. It was out of character for those two to want to resolve things, and weird to observe me drinking coffee. So I put my mug down, which earned a frown from Liliana. She told me to hurry up while the coffee was still hot. I called Liliana from my smartwatch while my phone was in my pocket, so she got up to start looking for her phone. At that time, I switched my coffee mug with hers, and they were all identical IKEA mugs, so I had no difficulty in making a quick switch. I put my coffee mug where she left hers just in time so she didn't see anything, and when she came back, I cringed and told her my screen was awake in my pocket and I dialed her mobile by accident. She did not see the dial on my smartwatch, so she thought that I was telling the truth. She said, "Oh, it's fine," and that I should go ahead, drink up my coffee, and resume the episode. She would never be okay with me making her get up and go across the room for no reason, so this was suspicious on its own. I drank my coffee all in one go, and she smirked at me, satisfied. Now I definitely knew that something was up. I'd figured there was a dose of laxative in the coffee or something, so I wasn't too worried about Liliana. I would get a good laugh out of it, I suppose. But no, that same night Liliana starts vomiting and crying out in pain because her stomach hurt. She looked the palest I'd ever seen her, and she looked really sick. I offered to call my father, who is a doctor, and immediately Callum and Liliana strongly protested the idea. I had no idea what was going on or why they did not want me to call the doctor, but Callum stayed up all night tending to her. She had a fever and violent chills, and she was wailing all night. Well, I was worried, but Callum told me to go to sleep and that he would handle this on his own. He knew what medicine to give her, so he probably knew what happened. Then I realized the coffee. It must have been poisoned. That could only be the answer. I cried so much that night because I was extremely hurt and also scared for Liliana. She was pretty sick the next morning too, not able to get out of her bed. I knew what happened at that point, so while Callum was out and Liliana was knocked out on heavy doses of medicine, I took a quick blood sample of her. I sent it to my father explaining the whole situation and asked him to test for common household poison. I listed her symptoms, which narrowed it down to 2 or 3 different poisons, and he said that he informed me and only me of the results, and when she woke up, she noticed the needle mark on her arm, but I told her it was an injection that Callum had told me to give her. She just shrugged and dozied off to sleep again. Callum tried to get me to stay home. He insisted that I stay and tend to his mother instead of going on my business trip. So he still somehow found a reason to hold me back from going to the meeting and getting that promotion, and I could not let my boss down. I told Callum to appoint a nurse and that I was willing to pay for any medical expenses that arose, but I would not stay back when Marcel was there to look after her the whole time. While I had extensive medical knowledge, I've never seen someone like that. So I told him I didn't really have the ability or knowledge to ensure her health and safety anyways. I denied Callum of his request for me to stay back and babysit his mother, and went on the business trip anyways. Well, while I was abroad, my father sent me a detailed report containing a blood analysis for various types of poison. Turns out she's been consuming trace amounts that were harmful, but not fatal. Rat poison, or rodenticide. Trace amounts that were harmful but not fatal. At least, and damn, it really set me up for harmfulness, but, well, when I got the results back, I knew it. They tried to poison me. That's how low they were willing to stoop to get me for not having the promotion and being successful in my own career. I knew Callum was insecure, but it ran so deep that he was willing to sabotage my health and endanger my life just to be better than him. I chose not to dwell too long on the thought while I was in another country and trying to crack a huge important deal. Thankfully, I gave my best, and my best was enough for me to get exactly the results I wanted. My boss was so happy with me. She threw a dinner to celebrate my success in the country, and I had a lot of fun on the trip too, getting the space I very much needed from Callum and Liliana. I've decided that no matter what, I'm going to keep Marcel out of this though because he loves his wife very much and I cannot stand the fact that he'll be so heartbroken when he realizes the crime that his wife and son committed. I can't be the one to tell him, so if I ever reveal to them that I know what happened, I'll do it when Marcel is not at home. When I went back, Liliana was still pretty ill. I mean, she can get up and move around now, but she still has major respiratory issues. Just to imagine I would have been in her position if not for my quick thinking makes my blood boil. I'm helping her get better with medication my dad suggested I give her for a speedy recovery, but I'm still very angry at them. I mean, just because I care about her life and want her to be healthy doesn't mean I don't absolutely despise her and loathe her guts. I was back a week ago and I've been conflicted ever since. Like, do I reveal what I know, or do I wait until she's recovered, or do I not tell them at all? Anyways, I need a bit of clarity. To be honest, I can't think about anything else for now. Even my upcoming promotion won't help me take my mind off this. Do you guys think divorce is the best option from here on? I don't want to endanger my life and career any longer. I don't really know if it's going to be the same between Callum and me ever again. So, what do you think I should do now? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Can you imagine this story and being in the position of OP? I mean, she was attempted to be poisoned. Anyways, we do have multiple updates to get into. It looks like OP has posted 3 updates since the original post, and let's dive right in it. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for daily videos. Here's the first update. Hey guys, I'm here with an update, but before that, I'd like to address some of your comments regarding all of the decision I've made. I switched the coffee because I was suspicious. There's no way I could have predicted that they were trying to actually poison me or that the mug of coffee could be actually life-threatening. I could not be sure of it, and I made a split-second decision. I thought that maybe laxatives were in play or something like that, not gonna lie. They did this on their own volition, and I cannot and will not be held responsible and accountable for poisoning an old woman who tried to poison me first. Also, for those of you saying I should have stayed behind to take care of Liliana instead of going on the business trip, let me ask you this. Am I a nurse? No, I'm not. If there's 2 people along with an appointed nurse at home, why would I stay at home and tend to a woman who, literally tried to physically harm me? She put herself in that situation, therefore I refuse to take any responsibility for her. I don't think I'm a bad person for that. Anyways, let's get to the good part. I've gotten a promotion. I'm now earning significantly more and have so much more responsibility and importance in the firm. So I'm doing greater financially now, and I can start saving for my future and worry less about what's ahead of me. In other news, Liliana has almost, and I say almost in parentheses, recovered. She's not quite back to her normal self yet, but she will be in just a few weeks or 2. She's gotten back the color of her skin, has more energy, and is back to being classic wicked witch of the East. Oh, guess what, though? Callum got sacked from his job? Fired! Ever since I've been back from the trip, we've spoken, 10 words to each other, barely seeing each other's faces. I'm honestly glad it's this way, and I can see that it's a dead marriage now. But that's okay. Anyways, what with his mother being sick and him being the standard procrastinator, he was underperforming at work, of course, and, well, for the past couple of months, eventually they just handed him his notice. His notice period ended the day before yesterday, and I've been working from home for a week due to the important renovations. I've been observing his behavior. I'd say he's depressed and unbothered enough to even look for a new job. He needs therapy, but I know if I tell him that, he'll just accuse me of calling him crazy. So I'll just get around to talking to Marcel instead. I hope he gets the help that he needs, but honestly, I'm having none of it. He could do whatever the hell he wanted after what he tried to do to me. Anyways, I'm heading out to have dinner with my family, so I'm just leaving this here for you guys to read. I'll talk to you later. Update number 2. Yo, get your butts here. I'm back with some tea. And you better take a seat for what I'm about to tell you, and I mean the sheer audacity of this man. Where did they find the damn confidence and encouragement to pull the crap on us women? So let me tell you exactly what happened. Yesterday, Liliana visited our home. Yet again, like, who keeps inviting this woman, right? Anyway, she told me I had to get Callum a job before he went loop-de-loop. I told her that's not my responsibility, so she gets extremely agitated and told me that she'd get me fired from my job because she's good friends with my employer's mother. Well, I told her she could shove her threat up where the sun doesn't shine, and then I finally dropped the bomb when Callum walked in, claiming I was ganging up on his mom. Look, I know I'm a bad A, but I've never intentionally hurt anyone. I mean, do you know who would intentionally hurt someone? Ding-ding, that's right, fellas. Liliana and Callum. So I pulled out the test reports that I got from my father after I did her blood test. I told them that I knew about the whole thing with the coffee. And at that, they dropped rodent pesticides into my mug to make sure that I was sick. Then I could not go on the business trip, and then the most unexpected thing happened. My very beautiful, amazing husband. He screamed at me. He said I hurt his mother. I almost murdered her and tortured her, and I simply asked him how he was all right with attempting to do the very same to me. Except with higher stakes because I had a great job. Well, unlike these two imbeciles, then guess what this dumb doofus does? He slapped me. Right across the face. My whole dang jaw reverberated, and I was mad and so hurt, and I just recoiled, seething. If that was how we wanted to play it, then that's what we're going to do. I stormed out of the room, and I have not left ever since. I took a leave of work, and now I'm sitting there thinking of my next move like a chess match. I installed security cameras in my living room a year ago after we had a theft in our house. So I had the whole recording of the little debacle that just happened right here on my phone. I downloaded it before Callum could wipe it, and now I have the evidence of physical violence. After yesterday, one thing's for sure. I'm most definitely getting a divorce, and I'm sick and tired of being the victim here. Even if I weren't being tortured in this house, my marriage is still dead beyond revival anyways. Well, I'd say yeah, I'm getting a divorce. My only problem is, how do I proceed with this? Do I file a case? Do I try to get a mutual divorce? Well, I guess that depends on Callum's response, and it's completely out of my hands. Well, guys, I'll let you know what happens with the divorce. See you guys. That's it for now. Final updates. Hey guys, I'm back. I'm here with an update on what actually happened. Perhaps my final, because I'm literally done with that family. So I divorced Callum. It was a very mutual divorce. I managed to convince him that getting a divorce was necessary for the both of us and our well-being, and we need to move forward in life. So, well, by convincing, I actually mean threatening. I mean, initially, I did try convincing him, I swear. I told him that we barely ever did the deed, and barely ever did anything romantic. So, I don't know, or even barely get along properly. So, when he begged me he would fix himself and warned me that he'd get his mother involved in the divorce if I did not change my mind, I absolutely lost my temper. Like, there isn't a single chance I'm giving that man another chance at this and access to my life again. And honestly, looks-wise, I could do much, much better. So, I threatened him. I told him I just want a divorce, but if he wasn't willing to do that, I was more than happy to file a case for divorce. I informed him of the recording that I downloaded on my phone containing the audio and video of how he confessed to attempting literal murder by poisoning me. Yeah, I know the poison wasn't that harmful in an amount, but perhaps I could have played it off in court, and he slapped me. I had his mother's blood work indicting traces of rodent pesticide, and I've even found the dang rhodocite pesticide that you used in the kitchen cabinet. Well, under the sink. If he had not eventually agreed to a mutual divorce, he would have gone down like he never did on me. So yeah, the threat of mine yielded the result I desired. and he agreed to sign the divorce papers without even making a fuss. However, I did something so stupid. He demanded alimony and a one-time settlement payment because he was unemployed and I was leaving him vulnerable, so now I have to pay a hefty amount for my freedom. But it's not like I can't afford it. Sure, it will deplete some of my savings, but that's fine because I won't be tied down and I'll never be unable to work again. Liliana did come over once after we got divorced, and she starts arguing with me about how I was trying to ruin her son's life by tarnishing his reputation. She starts getting physical at this point, throwing punches, but then I realize she's just there to bait me into a retaliation so she could send me to jail for abuse of the elderly or something like that. I don't know. I simply pulled her slimy, wrinkly hands off me and grabbed her hand in a way that looked pretty gentle and told her to leave my property before I charge her for trespassing. She whispered a few slurs and left, but I'd have to say good riddance, right? Now I think I'm finally free of all the pressure and people breathing down my neck. So I feel a lot better, mentally. Thank you guys for the kind comments, they made my day. Okay, that's it for the post. I'll talk to you guys later. So, the biggest debate I was reading in the comment section was the fact that OP stood around and just took all this abuse for far too long. I mean, it was pretty obvious at one point in the story that they were the ones who poisoned the coffee. I mean, it doesn't get any more obvious. And then OP even gets the lab results and finds out what exact poison it was. And then, finally, she just has enough and tells Callum, I know what you did to that coffee. And then Callum switches it on her and says, so you're the one who got my mom sick by switching the coffees. Hello, newsflash, you just tried to kill your wife. I don't understand why OP stuck around for so long, and a lot of commenters didn't either. And the fact that they weren't even going to press charges or being sent to jail for attempted murder? Wow. I want to know your thoughts about today's story, guys. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories like this every day, and if you guys want to be a part of these daily animated stories, go ahead, click that subscribe button. Thank you once again, and also, if you want some of my favorite videos, check out my playlist in the description below. Have a great day, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.